Poitiers, 1356. A battle so beautifully tragic, it makes one wonder if the French had accidentally replaced their swords with baguettes that morning. But before you get too comfortable, let me take you back to a time when kings actually led armies, when honor was worn like armor, and when the French, bless them, managed to lose another major battle to the English. Welcome, dear viewer, to yet another tale of royal disaster, told by none other than myself, King Arthur. Pull up a chair, unsheathe your curiosity, and prepare to witness the mess that was the Battle of Poitiers. And before we begin, if you enjoy watching history fall flat on its face, especially when the French are involved, consider giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and letting me know in the comments which medieval blunder you'd like me to roast next. Now then, where were we? Ah, yes, the 100 Years' War. You'd think after 100 years someone would have learned a lesson or two. But no. In 1356, the French, under King John II, who frankly had the tactical instincts of a damp sponge, decided it was a good idea to confront the English forces led by Edward, the Black Prince. Yes, Black Prince. Because why just be royal when you can sound like a villain from a fantasy novel? At the time, Edward was wandering around southwestern France on what we now generously call a chevauchée, a fancy French word for burning everything that looks remotely valuable. Villages torched, crops trampled, cows offended. All part of the English strategy to bleed France dry and force them to the negotiation table, preferably while their barns were still on fire. King John, eager to redeem his kingdom from the humiliation of Crécy, you know, the previous disaster where the French knights played lawn darts with their own pride, assembled a mighty army of about 20,000 men. Edward, he had barely 6,000, half of them archers who'd probably skipped breakfast. But you know what they had? The longbow, that infuriating stick of wood that turned peasants into night-piercing machines. Now imagine the scene. The French vastly outnumber the English. They have knights, they have banners, they have the full pageantry of medieval arrogance, and yet they charge directly into narrow terrain, uphill, into a hailstorm of arrows that cut through armor like warm butter. Again, yes, again. It is like watching someone touch a hot stove 3 times in a row just to be sure. Edward positioned his troops behind hedges and vines, forcing the French to break formation and blunder into chaos. King John, for reasons unknown, possibly divine punishment, decided not to wait and launched repeated frontal assaults. The results? French knights piled atop each other like badly stacked crates, their shiny armor making them excellent targets and even better trophies. In a delicious twist of irony, John's best plan was to keep his nobles from running away by placing them in the middle of the army, which only ensured that when the rout began, they were the first to be captured, and captured they were. Not just common knights, but high-ranking nobles, dukes, even the king himself. Yes, John the Good. Not good, as in skilled, mind you, just polite while surrendering. Edward, being the enterprising warlord he was, didn't kill them. No, he ransomed them. The French crown and nobility were worth their weight in gold, literally. The ransom for King John alone was so massive that France nearly bankrupted itself trying to get him back. He later returned to England voluntarily when the French couldn't pay up. A king returning to captivity because he was too honorable to break parole. Strange times. The Battle of Poitiers wasn't just a battlefield disaster, it was a political earthquake. It deepened the French civil crisis, weakened the monarchy, and sowed seeds of unrest that would later bloom into revolution. All because of one day's poor judgment and a few thousand overly confident knights charging into a death trap. So, what have we learned, dear viewers? That numbers mean nothing if your strategy stinks, that longbows are not to be underestimated, and that France, for all its flair, had a deeply concerning habit of losing spectacularly when it mattered most. If this medieval carnage tickled your historical bones, Don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe for more battles told with proper royal sarcasm, and tell me below, should I narrate Agincourt next, or maybe something more Byzantine? Until then, I remain your ever-watchful narrator, King Arthur, champion of facts, mocker of fools, and unofficial therapist to traumatized French knights everywhere. Farewell.